Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space, where I take stories from across the internet and read them for your entertainment. This particular story is called Stagnant, written by ZLegoDoc01. You know, Alf, it's funny, trying to wipe us out in an attempt to finish what you started eons ago, before we fled to another world as a means for survival, when our ancestors heard the marching of your forces coming. By the way, thank you for ensuring there were records of our history after we arrived onto the plains of Africa those many eons ago. We sadly couldn't afford to bring our records with us, so it was rather nice knowing that you saved them, and even after going through it, along with comparing them to our own records, we cannot help but laugh. Oh, why, you ask, because you elves still don't fucking understand us. You see, you elves can live for millennia. You elves don't have to worry about the sand in your hourglasses reaching the bottom as badly as we do. As such, you can take as much time as you like with developing your society, technology, and beliefs. But us humans, we didn't have such luck. We had short lives, typically only living for 100 years. As such, we had to advance our society much more rapidly. After all, if we wanted to see our achievements completed in our lifetime, we had to build fast and build big. We had to use our short lifetimes wisely before going into the void. It taught us to live our lives to the maximum. But when we started to catch up to you elves, in the mere eighth of the time it took your people to advance technologically, you grew scared. For the first time, your superiority was at risk. So, what did you do? You attacked us. You wanted to wipe us out to ensure the elves would be the dominant culture, society, and technologically based civilization on our world. On your world. That's why the dwarves, orcs, and goblins don't dare advance further than you, because they still remember what you did to us. The only species that didn't have to fear you were the halflings, but they're basically just small hippies, so they wouldn't really have any problems with them. And in all the eons since we ran away to survive, in all those eons you had to yourselves, did you advance in the slightest? No. Believing that now the threat of an equal to your own was gone, you went right back to where you started while also keeping the others in line. We have a word for such a civilization as yours. Stagnant. You shouldn't have let yourselves become stagnant. Do you know what we did after we established ourselves as the apex on Mother Terra? We looked up. We saw all the stars in the night sky and went, we must go there. So we built a primitive chemically propelled rocket and sent an artificial object into space. Then we put a man into the stars and landed more on the moon in just a few short years. But even that wasn't enough for us. We saw more places to go beyond the horizon and built more and more advanced spacecraft to reach them. Eventually, we discovered others that roamed the stars. Some were friendly enough. Others had our drums of war beat again and again until the threats were wiped out. Sometimes we lost, sometimes we won. But through all the challenges thrown at us, we learned and advanced. Do you know why this is? Because we always saw room to improve. We weren't content with just having things one way. If we saw that something could be improved upon, we improved it. If we saw something that could be built in another easier way, we switched to that method. When we reached the stage where dark matter, fucking dark matter, was being used as the base of most, if not all, of our technology, we grew scared. You see, we didn't know what came after harnessing dark matter. We didn't know if there was something that came after it. We feared that we'd be entering an era of stagnation. That was until someone looked into a mirror and found one more thing to improve and upgrade. Homo sapiens evolved into a new stage over 500 years ago. Now, we are Homo superior. We are the first and currently only known techno-organic life form in the galaxy. And when we rediscovered the portal structure that allowed us to come to Mother Terra in Africa when we fled, we, of course, figured out how to turn it back on. Our curiosity of the unknown practically demanded that we open it again. What we were expecting when we crossed was to discover new civilizations to learn from and cooperate with. What we were not expecting was to be shot at with extremely primitive bows and arrows. When we learned why you attacked us, we concluded the only way to ensure your survival was to remove your empire from its status as the dominant power and force you all to wake the feck up to reality. That's why our armies marched in your territory, batting aside your pathetic armies, armed with spears, swords, bows, and arrows, while ours are armed with particle, plasma, projectile, ground support, tanks, and a whole host of weapon types that we don't feel like listing. So, Prince Morvan Silvercrown of the Elven High Kingdom, do you wish to see your pathetic, stagnant empire fall to the ground in the next 50 minutes? Or would you like to contact dear old Dad now and beg him to stop before we show you what it's like to be on the receiving end of a superior power hell-bent on putting you in your rightful place beneath your betters? Better decide quickly, because the sand in your people's hourglass is rapidly hitting bottom. End of story. Story number 2. Human Tradesmen, written by AdjutantStormy. As people of Terra filtered out into the galaxy with their discovery of FTL, their world felt insufficient in opportunity for many of their overpopulated arcologies, and so the human diaspora began. Today, 20 human years on, you can find human longshoremen, teamsters, plumbers, and pipefitters, and electricians mixed into every starport staff in half the galaxy. These human specialists are valuable, able to hand lift what might require your race heavy machinery, able to hold deadly poisons without a rebreather, able to retool the coolant system on a live ship reactor. You can see why we keep them on. There's only one little problem. They call it a union. Not as a spousal union, which led to our initial confusion, but as an association including every human or otherwise, it would turn out tradesmen of a type, and they will shut you down if you piss them off. Piss off a human union and be prepared to lose hundreds of thousands of credits per day. The benefits have been attractive enough to lure the other menial species to join. In 2406, Human Standard Year, the Gnesh Typhon War broke out. Imagine velociraptors fighting red pandas. The adorable Typhon was immediately in the back foot. Stations to be used as FOBs were harder to find on both sides. Take the Longshoremen's Union of Local 5439-2 on the non-aligned Takata station. A dispute over hazard pay due to the ongoing shipments of explosives through Takata during the Nash Typhon War caused the Union to simply put down their equipment and wait. And wait. No shipments moved, no arms transported. They had demands. In the end, after 4 weeks of halted armament shipments and a detrimental reversal in the war, the liaison officers of the Takata station were told by Typhon Command to pay the men whatever the hell they need to give us our tri-stamped munitions. The human steward, as he called himself, accepted the new agreement. "I'll need this in writing," he said. In a separate incident on a niche-captured Typhon fueling station, FA7102, their new Neshi overlords were a bit battered, but victorious. They had 3 battle cruisers that limped into port, barely maintaining reactor containment. The mixed human Typhon staff, not keen on materially aiding these belligerent dickheads, requested work orders in triplicate. To be fair, the Neshi were paying them instead of enslaving them, but it didn't mean that they had to be polite. Once again, one of the human stewards found a mistake. The repiping of a reactor cores with a signed, digitally certified work order was not to spec. As ordered, these ships would go critical within a week. Incorrect heat-tolerant material, incorrect emergency venting valves, you name it. The Neshi ordered the whole wrong part. But the Neshi were the warriors, not the engineers. So the humans introduced a new concept to the Typhon compatriots. Work to rule. No, don't labor to dominance. Work to the rule. Everyone knew these ships were going out faulty. But I'm just following the work order, boss, is pretty phenomenal defense. Some of the Typhon felt guilty until the human steward told them it's not your ship and it's not your money. and they've been kicking our teeth in for weeks. In the end, the humans ended up joining Typhon in the war, but only to fish their people out of the Neshi backwaters, and it was over in a matter of months. The Nesh started the war with a fleet of pirates and battle cruisers, fierce and numerous, and ended the war by humiliating situations, like running out of fuel, because the dock workers forgot to top them up. Shield generator failures, not my department boss, it doesn't have pipes. Equipment malfunction, and critical reactor events from dubiously enthusiastic maintenance. Human tradesmen had won the war by being very, very selectively lazy. Pro-Union sentiments rose markedly throughout human and Typhon space after the ceasefire. End of story. I'd quickly like to thank the T5 peeps: Vitmori, Terran on Air, Cold War Boomerwaffen, Severin Cerberus, Red Panda 121, Leslie 517, Bushmaster 177, Casper Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, Lightsjock, Dragzoon WRE, Lord Azrakul, and Arcadian. Thank you.